5.55. So that's why I was trying to shoot for on both of them, but my tool actually broke again. So I don't recommend this piece of shit tool from Amazon. Welcome back. Today we're in our state-of-the-art garage doing a little bike maintenance. What we're going to be doing is replacing the chain on my KTM 990. Now this is a pretty simple job, but I think I got a couple of tips and tricks that might make it a little easier for you so you don't have to disassemble so much stuff. So let's get into it. Now I'm doing this on my 990, but this same concept of any Rivet Master Link chain will work on anything. So what you're going to need to do the job is a chain. This one happens to be a DID 525 VX3. It's supposed to be direct energy transfer. It's an X-ring chain. Supposed to help with power transfer, but this bike's got so much power, I don't think I'm even gonna notice that. So I really don't care as long as it lasts. I recommend having a side grinder. You can get the chain off without having a special tool. So I'll show you how to do that. But you will need a rivet tool to push the new Master Link on and rivet the new Master Link. I got this one off Amazon. I'll drop a link in the description. It was like 17, 18 bucks, 20 bucks, something like that. Now it's not very good. It's done 2 chains. We broke in 1 pin in the tool. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to do at least this chain with it. If you're gonna do this job a lot or help your buddies or whatever, I would definitely probably recommend like a Pro Motion tool. Same style tool, just a lot better, hardened pins, all that good stuff. And you will need a small zip tie to get the new chain on. And I'll show you a trick why I use that, because you don't have to disassemble so much stuff on your bike to do it. So we'll get into it and we'll get started. First, we got to get this old chain off, so I'll show you that process first. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you to Rick Stewart, the SC Moto Lawyer, for sponsoring today's video. Now, if you're working on your motorcycle and happen to cut your finger off or something, there's probably not much he can do for you. But if you have a motorcycle crash, especially if it ain't your fault, then he might be the man for you. So if you live in the state of South Carolina, look up Rick Stewart, the SC Moto Lawyer. Okay, the first step, we're just going to take the side grinder and grind any 2 pins down flush with the link. That's all we got to do, pretty simple. So that's what you want your finished product to look like, just flush with the link. You'll take your screwdriver, if I can hold this one hand, stick it in between those two. We're just going to hit that with a hammer. Fingers crossed that that link will just pop off of there. Takes a little bit of elbow grease, but usually it works. And you know, the camera rolling, it might not, but here goes nothing. Take your hammer, screwdriver. Like I said, it takes a little bit of working, but you ain't gonna reuse this chain. There it goes, just like that. All right, now that you got the link popped out, this is where the zip tie comes into play. To zip tie the old chain to the new chain. And what that's gonna allow you to do is just pull this old chain out while pulling the new chain in. And on most bikes, even this one, this sprocket cover is solid. So you usually would have to take this off, try to feed the chain through there. With a zip tie, you'll just be able to pull it right through. So it's a good tip just to make the job a little bit quicker without having to disassemble so much stuff. So hopefully y'all be able to see how this works. You're gonna have to feed that chain straight through there, just like this. Pull on the bottom. You might have to line it onto that sprocket. The zip tie shouldn't affect anything. It broke, but there's the new chain on, just like that. And your new chain's gonna come with a new Rivet style Master Link, the plate, and some O-rings. And we just got to take it, put some grease on them, and I'll try to show you all this the best I can as I'm putting it together. But make sure you put grease on all where the O-rings is gonna be. Push it through there, then I'll show you how to use the tool to push everything together. Like I said, just be pretty liberal with the grease. Clean off all the excess, it don't matter. And just stick that Master Link right on there. It's kind of aggravating by yourself. You're trying to hold the chain, but as you can see, that link's pushed up on there a little bit. I just started it with my fingers. It won't go on there very much because it's pretty tight. But this is where your tool comes into play. I'm not going to go into detail about this tool because every tool is kind of different. But you see that little plate there has got 2 little holes in it. That's so those pins will push through. And that one's sort of slotted, so the pins on the other side that look like this will just sit right in that groove. And just work this tool down and make sure this plate's going on evenly. If it don't, you can switch to one of the anvils, and I might have to do that, and I'll show you. Just sort of push one side on at a time, but you want this to go all the way even. And this, I forgot to mention, you're gonna need some calipers, and then you want to measure this link and compare it to all these, because you don't want this to be too tight, because that'll cause a tight place in your chain. You want it to be pretty equal with the rest of your links, but I'll show you all that stuff. Like I said, I try to be as quick as possible and detailed as possible. So just get your tool on there, the proper wrench, and just start turning it in, pressing that link on. And like I said, check it with your calipers every once in a while, because once you go too far, you're gonna damage that link getting it off. And if you do damage the link, you're gonna have to get another one, and then the chain only comes with one. So just press it a little bit at a time, then back that off and recheck it. I just use some digital calipers, and what you want to do is just measure the existing chain, which is about 19.5 in between the links. That's millimeters. And go up to your master link and measure it, see how far you went so far. That one's about 20, so we're about a 1/2 millimeter off, which don't sound like a lot, but as you can see, the pins are not even sticking out of there yet, so we got to keep pushing until we get some pin out of there, because you got to have enough room to mushroom those out. So got to push a little bit more. Now that the master link is pressed on evenly, like I said, you measure this to make sure the master link's the same as your actual chain. Don't have to be rocket science that close, but you want to get it fairly well close, and it's pretty much right on. Now what you want to do is take your calipers, and I just measure these original chain pins, which are like 5.6, and then I come down to here and measure these before I even start, and they're 5.3. So you want to try to make these pins, use your tool to mushroom them out to make these pins mimic these pins. Now a good rule of thumb is if you go from 5.4 to 5.7 millimeters of a flare on this, that's about where you want to be. So I'm going to shoot for about 5.5, and you just take the actual pushing pin for the flaring these out, drop it in your tool. Like I said, every tool is going to be a little different. Take the anvil, and that's going to go on the back side. It just drops in the tool like that. You just screw that in and let it flare that tip out. And you don't want to go too much, so do it a little bit at a time and keep on remeasuring, because if you go too far, that pin can actually crack. If it does, you're going to be starting over with a new master link. So just go a little bit at a time. Like I said, I just shoot for about 5.5. We should be pretty good with that. Now these pins are hardened. It's in that chain, rightfully so, because this is a 1000cc bike and you don't want to break. But these tools, this tool in particular ain't that good. So you just got to be real slow with it. Just flare that pin little by little, and then move from that one and go down to the other one. Just keep remeasuring and just be gentle with it. Now if you got that pro motion, you probably don't have to be as easy with it, so I won't worry about it as much. All right, this is going to be a little bit hard to show you with one hand, but zero out my calipers. See if I can get y'all on that. That one's actually 5.75, so I went a little big, but that little bit shouldn't matter. And that one's at 5.55, so that's why I was trying to shoot for them, both of them, but my tool actually broke again. So I don't recommend this piece of shit tool from Amazon. I'll drop a link for the Pro Motion one, because if you're going to do this job even one time, you're going to replace your chain periodically anyway if you keep your bike. I would highly recommend just getting a better tool, because this thing is junk, so I'm going to throw it in the trash. But I'm going to show y'all one more thing. As you can see, my chain's really loose. My other chain was 118 links. This is 120, because the gearing on this bike is 45/17. Stock would have been 17/42. So the rear end was pushed way forward, so I'm going to have to flip these blocks back around, and I want that to be a little bit longer. I'm going to show y'all not how to adjust the chain, because y'all know how to use your marks, adjust your chain, make sure your wheels in line, all that stuff, chains in line. I'm going to show you something, a trick to keeping that chain, that blocks up against these bolts good and tight while you tighten down your axle nut. So let me get everything adjusted, then I'll show you all that. I still got to mess with my chain a little bit more and do some adjusting. But the tip I wanted to show you for holding this tight up against these axle blocks while you tighten your axle nut up. Now this bike's a little bit hard to do. Just take you a wrench and do like that right there. Now don't put tons of tension on this, but just push your wheel forward, and that tightens your chain completely up. It just pulls everything forward. Then tighten your axle nut down to the torque spec. And then when you let that go, that'll make sure these blocks are tied up against these adjusters so your wheel don't move forward. Just a little tip, especially if you're going to be doing a lot of off-road. Well, I hope this video helped a little bit. I hope you could see well enough to see how the process kind of works. If I learned anything, you get a good tool, riveting tool to put the chain back on with, because those cheap ones, they're just too soft. The pins are too soft and it bends, or they mushroom out, and it just makes the job a lot harder. So I'll put a link in the description for the ProMotion one. There's a lot of them out there, but I appreciate if you use the link down below, because it's an Amazon affiliate link and it helps us out a little bit. Hopefully this chain will last. The reason I changed it, I never did tell y'all that. The sprockets are in pretty good shape. Like I said, they're 1745, so they're not stock. But the chain might have been the stock chain, I don't know, but it's a stock 118 length. So the wheel was way too far forward. It was actually really close to the mud guard, and soon I'll be getting Motos tires on here, and they probably would have hit because the knobbies are so big. So I wanted to slide everything back, and the chain actually the old chain had some stiff links in it, which was causing a lot of noise, and it was flopping around at low RPMs, and that's not good because it could jump off the sprocket and tear the case up, lock the rear end up. It could do a lot of things. So new chain, hopefully it'll quieten everything down, make a safe ride to the Palmetto ADV rally, and hopefully I'll get some testing on it, make sure all my work's good before that. But if you have any questions or any comments, concerns, please drop them in the comments below. Maybe I did something wrong. Help me, maybe I can do it easier next time. As always, appreciate y'all watching. If you hadn't already, hammer the shit out of that subscribe button and that notification bell so you'll be alerted when new content comes out. We'll see y'all in the next one.